All right. We are live. Yay. 1 second, guys. Let me check settings really fast. All right. Audio looks good. Video looks good. Awesome. Awesome. Happy Sunday, you guys. Happy Memorial Day for those of you here in the US. I'm not sure if it's the same up to the north, our neighbors in Canada, but regardless, I hope everybody is having a fantastic 3-day weekend so far. And we will dive in here in just 2 seconds. I like to give it just a moment, let people get notified and come on in. Oh, so many familiar faces. Hello, you guys. Hello. Hello, Koi Army. Northwest Wind. Hello, sir. Becca. Darren. Frank. Hi. Milan Pop. Oh, this is going to be good. Francesca, thank you so much for the super chat. As always, good to have you here. Hello. Kelly, Tina. Do forgive me. Oh, I love this idea. And thank you for the super chat. I don't want to mispronounce your first name, so I hope you don't mind if I call you Andrea. But thank you for the super chat. And I absolutely love this idea. I'm excited to answer that question for sure. Thank you, guys. You know what? Let's go ahead and get started. It's been a long enough wait. Right? And again, thank you for your patience as always. When I say 10 a.m., it's 10 a.m. ish. It's always ish. Oh my goodness. All right. More caffeine. More caffeine is needed. Oh, I'm so sorry. Before we jump on in, really, really quickly, waitlist for one-on-one coaching is going to be opening again shortly. If not next week, it'll be early the week after. It will be soon. So if you are interested in one-on-one coaching, if you want more information about it, you can check down on the description box below. Make sure that you are all good to go. You will receive a email with all the information when that is ready to go, when doors are ready to open. And due to a lot of requests about more information about revision, I am just about finished up on a revision masterclass. And that one, I really go to the end of everything that I have learned through experience, through coaching others, and put it together so better help anyone who might be struggling with revision. It's a 4-week masterclass. I'll have more information about that one as well, so keep eyes out for that. I'm really excited for that one because if anyone here knows me, I know how much I talk about revision and how much it will radically change your life. So with all those things said, let us jump on in. And Milan Pop, congrats on the interview. I just saw that. You got this. Congrats on the new job, I should say. All right. Francesca, you are so sweet as always. Thank you so much for that super chat. Hi, Missy. How long does it take for your improved self-concept to be noticed by your SV? Can I manifest him to be living version when I am sat next to him? So tempted to give him a hug, but I know I can't interfere with the 3D. Oh, that's a good question. How long until we start to see the change in SP, or until our SP starts to notice a change within us? And those, it's difficult to give a definitive answer because everybody is going to be different. Everyone's journey is going to look different. Everyone's journey is going to be different as far as your belief systems, how frequently you are applying the law, how consistently you are imagining and going to the end. So there's a lot of different factors. really difficult to say. However, one thing, and you likely may already be doing this, uh, but since I know that you are in contact with your SP in the 3D, um, making sure that if there's any interactions that are not ideal, or if you would have rather it gone a different way, making sure that you are revising that each time, each time. So do not let yourself fall asleep with a bad conception or in a bad mood. If something happened, if he frustrated you, I know it could be tempting. I know we're used to just kind of like being really irritated with our person. It's a habit we absolutely want to break. So making sure that you're revising the encounters if it did not go the way that you wanted it to go. But I will say, lastly on this, if you are consistently going to the end, if you are consistently putting yourself in the experience of you and him together in imagination, if you are feeling into that morning, noon, and night, you will see a change. You will see a change. And it can happen incredibly quickly if we are consistent. Yeah. Going back up. Thank you for the super chat, Koi Army. Let me see if I can find your question. Isn't it strange that people begin to question why your life begins to go up and just experience good and miraculous stuff when nobody knows that you use the law? What should I say? Uh, so what should you say when people are making comments about how your life is improving? Tell them about the law if you feel comfortable doing so. But if you have people close to you saying, wow, I noticed that your life is changing in so many ways. Like you are showing up differently. Things seem to be going a lot better for you. Like, how do you do it? What have you been doing differently? And you're comfortable doing so, tell them about the law. Tell them about Neville. Now, if it's something that for natural reasons, we may not be comfortable talking to some people about this. I know it's still considered in the camp of like woo woo or magic or all that stuff. And if that's the case, just tell them that you've really been focusing on changing you and your mindset, be it through meditation, through mindfulness, because I think it's pretty universally accepted that the mindset has a lot of correlation to the 3D experience that we have. Like, if you have a better mindset, if you have a better perspective, you're probably going to have a better experience than those who have more of a negative or pessimistic outcome. Yeah. Yeah. But if you think that they would be open and receptive, but always assume that they will be. But when you are able to do so, tell them about the law. Especially if they see how much your life has changed from it, they'll be a lot more likely to be open and receptive to it. Let me see. I absolutely love this question. I love this idea, and thank you for the super chat. I keep having the urge to write a kid's book about the law, but feel stuck past the first paragraph. I'm waiting for inspiration while. Should I wait for inspiration while doing sats? Writing feels forced, but the idea of the book keeps coming. First off, amazing. That is amazing. I've had similar thoughts. I'm currently writing a book. It's not a children's book, but I am writing a book, and I've had the idea come to me a couple of times too of writing something like a kid's novel. So I love that you're doing this, because more children should know about this. If it were up to me, every child would be learning about the law in school from a young age, and be encouraged to continue to use their imagination and not stifled or not discouraged from doing so. Um, One of the most important things that we can do for our kids is to encourage them to continue to imagine boldly. Um, if you're feeling stuck, if it feels like writer's block, absolutely, I would meditate, and I would meditate on guidance, or I would be going to the end of already releasing the book. If it were me in this position, imagine that you've already written that book. Imagine that there's a lot of acclaim that came with that. See yourself as an award-winning children's author, whatever that may look like for you. But something that implies that you have already experienced this. You've already been published. It is already out there. Imagine hearing the feedback from parents about the book and how much it's already helped their children's lives. Things like that, you should find incredibly helpful. You can also go into sats or meditation with the intention for clarity, for receiving clarity about what to write, or inspiration that'll get you going, if that makes sense. But I absolutely love that idea. That is so good. Yeah, Sarah, that's absolutely. More children should know about this. More children need to know about this. So I'm glad that you're feeling the nudge too. Let me see. Yeah. Carrie, hi. Hi, Missy. I finally caught you again on a live. I'm looking forward to our next call. When I become off track, I breathe and say to myself, everything always works out in my favor. Thank you always. Aw, that has been my mantra. That has been my motto for a very long time. Everything always works out in my favor. And that's a really, really powerful one. It's a really popular one for good reason. It's fantastic for helping you stay grounded when things might not be looking too hot in the 3D. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. And I'm looking forward to our next call too. I'm looking forward to the chronic. I can't ever say that word, but I'm looking forward for more updates. It's going to be good. Brazen impudence. Yes, indeed. Stubbornness. Stubbornly insistent. Happy Sunday, y'all. All right, going back up to the top. Going back up. Northwest Wind, I love your questions. When your husband said he loved you as a friend and to move on, how did you shake it off and solidify the knowing that you two were deeply connected beyond time and space? You have such a beautiful way with words. You have such a beautiful way with words, my friend. I love it. So, how did I shake off? So, for those of you who may not have seen my SP success story, we were separated for a handful of years, and in that time, we did start to be on speaking terms again. But he was very adamant about just being friends, and he was basically very insistent that we would never get back together. And how did I shake that off? I mean, I didn't. It like at that time. At that time, I handled it like most people would. I was distraught. I cried a lot. Yeah. And it was in part this reason, and similar reasons, why I personally made the decision that I needed to focus on myself. I needed to focus on turning my attention inwards. I was getting too distracted by the 3D circumstance. Um, And this was pretty much why, because I would be doing great. I would seemingly be doing really well, or at least what I thought at the time I was doing well. And then we would meet and he would say something that triggered me and I would spiral, and it rinse, repeat. Uh, so I really, it came to a head, and I decided that I needed to first focus on me. I needed to break out of this spiral pattern. Now, that's not to say that if you're in an SB situation where you're in contact in the 3D, I'm not saying that you need to do that. That was just a personal decision that I made. But when I was able to really shut out the circumstances and, um, not put myself in scenarios and circumstances where it could be triggered, it helped exponentially. Yeah, let's just put it that way. Because I already knew that we were deeply connected. I've known since the minute I met that man. I have known since minute one that I met that man that we are deeply connected. I have never, ever experienced anything close to what I felt when I met him with anyone else. But yeah, it's been a saga. Where was I? Go girl. It's been so long. How are you? Hi, Missy. Thanks for the most recent video about the true purpose of imagining. We just use it to help us get into a positive state. So we get into the state we want and stay there, right? Thank you. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. The true purpose of imagining is so we can move into a state. We can move ourselves into a desired state and actually start to feel into and experience that state. Because unlike the 3D, which can come with barriers and limitations and all sorts of obstacles, perceived obstacles, in imagination, none of those things exist. We can experience anything we want in imagination. So it's a way to allow ourselves to have that experience, feel into it, so that we can start to become familiar with it, so that we can begin to identify with it. Because that's really the name of the game here. It's identifying with the state of the wish fulfilled. Mm-hmm. You got it right. Hey, Missy, I had an amazing date with my SP last Sunday. Awesome. Awesome. AM2 Media? Hell yeah. Congrats, and congrats to many more. Hi, Missy, can you please discuss the topic of past, present, and future in 3D as well as in 4D? Good question. Yeah, this needs to be a whole video in and of itself. Yeah, sort of discussing time, or should I say the illusion of time, the appearance of time. Absolutely. So, well, first, past and future don't actually exist in the way that we are seeing it on this linear scale. I mean, first, as far as the 3D goes, there is only the present moment in the 3D. Like we can't point to something in the present and say, oh, that's the future, right? Can't do that. So past and future only exist in the 4D, in imagination. However, they exist in imagination right now. Like we can experience the past or future in the 4D right now because that is where they exist. So instead of looking at this like we are trying to get something in the future and like imagining to get something in the future, we're imagining having that experience, that future experience right now. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. I know it's a little bit confusing, and I definitely need to make more videos talking about this. Um, but essentially, the only moment that truly exists is this present moment, both in the 3D and in imagination. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, Phil. How long should a single session in SATs last? Good question. It can vary. It can depend. Um, there's no like definitive set amount of time. Typically speaking, when I go into SATs, it's I mean the actual SAT scene itself is kind of hard to pinpoint because when you're in SATs, you're not really aware of like how long you're in it. Like I've had SAT sessions that felt really, really long, but I came to and it had only been a couple of minutes, and vice versa. Um, but I mean, if you're talking about when you are practicing, I would give yourself a little bit of like wiggle room, maybe 30 minutes, just to practice going into more relaxed states, right? Helping yourself first, getting more relaxed, and helping yourself to get as relaxed as possible first. So give yourself a buffer, enough time to first get yourself deeply relaxed. So I'd say, at least a window of 30 minutes or so. Yeah. Oh, did I miss one? Oh, I'm so sorry, Andrea. Changing my self concept to reflect a different version of hubby that initiates more affection. Acting as if means that I don't force myself to initiate, but rather happily reciprocate to him when he does. Um, Acting as if means that I don't. Well, I mean, first, number one, yes, this is not at all about trying to force anything. We are not trying to force anything, whether that's taking actions in 3D or trying to like strain ourselves mentally. Yeah, this is not about forcing. But rather happily reciprocate to him when he does. I mean, yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah. But what this also means is that making sure that you are in imagination going to that end, that you are already having that interaction with your hubby that you desire to experience, right? So you're seeing him in the mind's eye as more affectionate. He's, you know, doting on you. He's getting you gifts, whatever that looks like for you. But you're having the experience of it in here and just allowing it to come to pass. As far as the 3D goes, you're just in a state of going through the notion as the bridge unfolds. Yeah. Oh, I missed another super chat. Uh-oh. Um, Okay, sorry, I'm looking for your question. I told last live about the vision with my SP and maybe our son. Does that mean I could be pregnant right now in a different state? Yeah, yeah. There is a state of consciousness. There is a reality right now where you are pregnant. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. If creation is finished, that means that every reality exists right now. Every possible outcome that we can fathom, that we can imagine, exists right now. So there's already a state for that. That's what that means. Kelly. Hi, Missy. I know your stance on signs, but what about synchronicities? Is it the same? I actually got one of my small manifestations I didn't really think would happen. Not only did I get it, free heart rate monitor that I just didn't want to buy, but the person giving it to me has my SP's name, which isn't super common. What the hell? Uh, yeah. And synchronicities are they're fun, right? They're a lot of fun. We definitely get a kick out of them when they happen. But do they have any kind of like significant meaning objectively? Not unless you give them meaning. I mean, not unless you give it meaning. What it does point to is that this is something that has been out pictured because at one point you've imagined, or if you have somebody's name on your mind a lot, it's not at all uncommon to run into other people who have a similar name, even if it's an uncommon name. Basically, everything is an out picturing of something that we once imagined that was once impressed subconsciously. So, congrats on the heart monitor. That is awesome. And yeah, if we plant that seed, it has to come to pass, right? So when it comes to synchronicities, it's similar stance to signs. Like signs always follow. They don't precede. Yeah. Let me see. Sandra, thank you for the super chat. Hi, Missy. When you manifested your SP for the second time, did you have doubts? Were you double-minded? Did you sometimes feel regret, sadness, and longing? If so, how long did it take you to achieve this peace and Sabbath? And how long was the Sabbath for you? Excuse me. Good question. You mean, did I experience doubts and double-mindedness before the Sabbath? Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, the bulk of time that I was trying to manifest him back, I was absolutely double-minded. Hmm. How long did it take? How long did it take to achieve? It to achieve the Sabbath? It did take me a minute. It took me a minute. I want to say maybe a year and a half-ish. Now, again, to be abundantly clear, I know that we like to draw comparisons to other people's experience so that we can have a gauge, but everybody's experience is going to be different. So do not assume that it's going to take you the same amount of time that it took me. Everyone is going to be different. I have seen people reach the Sabbath very quickly. Very quickly. Yeah. I was just basically going through the notion of trial and error. And how long was the Sabbath? A couple of weeks. Let's see, it was back in January. And I reached the Sabbath around the end of November. It's before the holidays. Something like that. It's a couple of weeks. Just as a heads up, you guys, please do not spam the chat. Please don't do it. I know there's a lot of questions. I try to get to them as fast as I can, but if I see that you are spamming the chat, I will have to put you in timeout. So don't do that. But to answer your question, Josh, yes, there is going to be an update. It's really about trying to pin us both down because both of us have really busy schedules, but there will be a Haley update. I do not know when just yet. Patience, my friend. Patience. didn't. Just making sure. Thank you, Zara. Thank you for the super chat. What to do if SP blocked you because she kept calling and has your money like a lot? Oh, I am so sorry. So for any circumstance in the 3D, if we're talking about how to deal with the 3D circumstances, you don't take any actions in the 3D. I know that that's what we are accustomed to doing. That's what we are sort of wired to do. But instead, I would go to that end where either you have the money back or the two of you are in communication. Basically, first know what it is that you want. Know what it is that you want. What do you desire? You desire for SP to unblock you, give you the money that he owes you? Then I would see that. I would see as already having received the money, communication between the two of you, whatever that might be. That's where you are going in imagination. So instead of continuing to try to take actions in the 3D, construct a scene that implies that you've been unblocked, you have your money, the two of you are on speaking terms, if that's what you want. And I would continue to persist on going there. I would persist on going there in imagination until it feels solidified, until you feel that sense of relief, until you get to that place where it will elicit a response within you. You'll feel it. And then that's how you know that that seed has been planted, so to speak. Yeah. I'm so sorry. It's been a difficult circumstance, but regardless, there is no need to expend our energy out in the 3D. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat. Sup, Mike? I'm getting a bit disenchanted lately, doing pre-recorded affirmations, but struggling with SATs. Plus, my health is worse, and I'm staying in, and it's wreaking havoc on my self-concept. Any tips? Aw. I'm so sorry. So, yeah, absolutely. I've made a few videos about SATs. I'm not sure if you have seen those. If you haven't, I absolutely recommend going to watch them. I've made a couple videos, really helping to try to break down and answer some of the most commonly asked questions that I get, some of the areas that people have difficulty with the most. So first, I would make sure to watch those if you haven't seen them yet. But if SATs is still feeling very difficult, I would try something like, "Isn't it wonderful?" Or I basically I would imagine something else. I would imagine differently. Perhaps try a new technique instead, right? Uh, Having just an inner conversation instead of like a visual picture, right? We're kind of playing around here and seeing at first what comes to us most naturally as far as how we imagine. Because again, everyone's going to be different. Some people are much more visual, some people are much more auditory as far as their imagination goes. So it's finding what resonates the most for you. That's really kind of the first thing that we're doing. So it may be playing around with different techniques and different exercises and things like that. If you don't already have a meditation practice, I highly recommend implementing one in your day-to-day practice. Daily meditation is going to make this whole journey exponentially easier. And what was the last part here? Yeah, I would really focus on meditation and just helping yourself get to a state of relaxation. Those would be my two big things that I would be focused on first. First, helping ourselves get to a place where we feel more relaxed. And that might be regulating our nervous system. That might be shutting off the fight or flight response. If we're feeling very anxious, if we're feeling very sad, we're naturally going to notice a lot more resistance when we are in a fight or flight mode than if we're feeling more relaxed. So I would make sure that you are doing things like body scanning, breath work, things that will help you to alleviate that anxiety, alleviate a lot of that, you know, the havoc being wreaked on your self-concept. Plus, once we're relaxed, it's going to be so much more natural for us to imagine something lovely. Yeah. Just 2 cents. Thank you, Ava. Hi, Missy. What's the best way to manifest multiple desires at the same time, like love, health, and money? Good question. Um, so my personal favorite, my for multiple desires or multiple aspects of life, is something like "Isn't It Wonderful?" Or the lullaby method. And I have made a video talking about it. If you have not heard of that technique, you you can go ahead up in the search bar, Missy Renee lullaby method. It will pop right up. But that one is really just you're focusing more on a general state of satisfaction. You're focusing more on the general feeling and not so much a specific scene or a specific desire per se. Because you're going to find that the more that you go into a state of satisfaction, a state of gratitude, a state of well-being, anything like that, feeling blessed, that's going to have an effect on every area of your life. You're going to see and notice change in multiple areas of your life. Yeah. That one is my go-to. I use Isn't It Wonderful all the time. All the time. It was Neville's go-to as well. Thank you again, Andrea. Can you talk about I am meditations? How to do? Absolutely. Absolutely. So Neville's book, Your Faith is Your Fortune, the chapter titled Fishing, he sort of breaks down uh, how to apply the I am meditation. He called it going fishing. Um, but here in this community, we call it the I am meditation. But he breaks it down in that chapter. But essentially, again, you're kind of first going in, just focusing on that sense of being. So you're just kind of keeping your attention on your awareness, your awareness on your. I know it sounds very meta, but you're just kind of focused at first on being. So there's not anything in particular, just that sense of awareness. You're kind of holding your attention there. And then you start to say, I am. You don't condition that I am. It's just those words. And as you say, I am, you allow yourself to get more relaxed. You allow yourself to get more and more into that drowsy state. Now, will you fall asleep the first few times you try it? Probably. But that's okay. That's okay. Because the whole point of the I am meditation is to help us reach that place of unconditioned consciousness. Um, that is God, essentially. Uh, Experiencing and feeling into the expansiveness that is God. And it truly does feel like an expansion. When you do reach that place, it feels like you're no longer your body. You're no longer this identity with your name and your characteristics and aspects. It's going to feel so much more vast than that. But yeah, check out Your Faith is Your Fortune, the chapter titled Fishing. I'm trying to remember if I've made a video talking specifically about the I am meditation. I don't know if I have. That's actually something take a note on. Yeah, basically, you're just focusing on that awareness and saying, I am, and going deeper. Yeah. Thank you, KK. I am not feeling it longing for my SP. Combo in my head is friendly towards him. I can go through my day with good disposition. I feel reprogrammed. Yay! Awesome. Awesome to hear. That's it. That's it. Wonderful. That's what we want to, and when I say that, our reactions and our internal reactions, our thoughts, things like that, that is our gauge. That's what we want to look to as a sign, if anything else, is how we are feeling, how we are thinking, how we are reacting naturally. And this is a perfect example of that, KK. I'm so happy for you. John, hello, sir. If manifesting an SP, how can we tell if our desire is genuine from a place of inner security and not because we are screwed up and lonely? Oh, God. Oh, John. How can we tell if our desire is genuine? Well, I mean, if it wasn't a genuine desire, you wouldn't have the desire? The reason that we have these desires is for the sake of like it's for our growth and evolution ultimately. Like to have the experience of it that ultimately leads to growth and evolution. That's the whole point of why we are here as humans. It is growth and evolution through experience, continuing to do so until we reach that place of awakening, discovering who we really are. God became man so that man could become God, right? And we wouldn't do anything if we did not have desires. We would not be moved to do anything ever if we did not have desires. So, whether it's coming from a place of security or a place that feels lonely, um, it's still a desire that's meant to move you. It's meant to help you ultimately. It may not feel like that in this moment. There's a lot of times we curse the fact that we desire what we desire, but yeah, unless I'm misunderstanding the question, desires come from God. Period. End of story. But again, I might be misunderstanding, so let me know if I am. Oh, all good, Joshua. No worries. No worries. I know sometimes the chat can get sticky. It's all good. Francesca, thank you. Missy, I manifested seeing a pink car, but only saw a child's pink toy car. Is that the same manifestation? I mean, it's a pink car, is it not? I mean, did you have like a specific image of a pink car driving on the road, or did you just write down a pink car? Because if it's the latter, then if the shoe fits, right? If the description fits. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Koi Army. Thank you, thank you. Oh, I did SATs yesterday and imagined myself how I lay next to my SP in the same bed with him. What the hell? I don't really care anymore if I have his physical appearance in 3D because imaginal. Oh, it looks like the last message was retracted. Oh, wait, there we go. Because the imaginal act makes a lot of fun. Because I want more the feeling of the state and not the appearance of it. Even that, I fall again back to the old state. Is it normal at the beginning? Is it normal to, hang on one moment. So is it normal to not have like a vivid picture in SATs? Yeah. Hmm. I mean, as long as you know what's taking place, as long as you are aware of what the scene is representing, it doesn't have to be a crystal clear image. It doesn't have to be, you know, in as lifelike as this 3D room right here. No, no. I mean, with practice, you can absolutely get to that point, but you don't need to. It's like you just said, it's more of the feeling of the state. And by feeling, that's the experience of it, the naturalness of it, um, not the appearance. Mhm. Just like with any new skill, we're practicing getting better at it. Yeah. If it is normal to fall back again to the old state at the beginning, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Is it normal for us to sort of revert back to the old state or the old ways of thinking? Yeah. Very normal. Very normal. Hmm. Yeah. And I made a video kind of talking about it, but maybe I should do one in a little bit more detail. At first, we all have a dominant state of consciousness, right? We have a state that we revert back to most often based on the dominant beliefs and assumptions that we have, based on the core beliefs and assumptions that we hold. Like, we might be able to move into a state, but we may find ourselves sort of moving back to that old state of thinking. And that's really the ego. You can almost think of the ego as like keeping this homeostasis, going back to what feels most dominant, most believable to us, which is why persistence is a thing that is so often taught in this community. If we revert back to an old state, if we find ourselves back into old thinking patterns, that's just a feedback. That's just our feedback that says, okay, we want to go back to that new state. We want to go back to that state of the wish fulfilled. And enough time to where that becomes more natural for us. That new state starts to become more of the dominant state for us. Yeah. But at first, is it common to slide back? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You are so welcome. Mm, thank you, Dawn. Thank you for the super chat. I'm focusing on self concept, CPTSD. I'd like to manifest my healing simultaneously with my SP in one scene. Would you recommend this or not? Good question. So, you'd like to imagine a scene that implies both being healed and your SP being back? Is that, am I understanding correctly? Because absolutely you can do that. Absolutely. Yeah. Something that implies that you're in a place that's much better, you're feeling healthy, and you're also back with SP. It could be a scene that is you having a conversation with your SP and them telling you how far you've come and how much you have changed, just as an example. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. Now, if you're noticing a lot of resistance to it for whatever reason, if it's feeling difficult at all to imagine for SP, then perhaps focus on getting to a place that feels a bit better first. But yeah. Manifesting a vacation. Nice, Danielle. Nice. Where are you going? All right. Let me go back and find my spot. I'm just checking to see. I made sure I didn't miss any super chats. Sometimes I get notifications of them, sometimes they don't. All right. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. I meditate daily, going on for 80 days, and I can visualize. But after I've been in the wish fulfilled and see myself changing states, I'm angry the state isn't predominant. Self talk is rough. Yeah. Yeah. But after you've been in the wish fulfilled, you're angry that it's not predominant. Yeah, it can absolutely get frustrating. If or when we move back to that old state, if we catch ourselves in old thinking patterns, it can get incredibly frustrating. Yeah. To the best of our ability, we want to be kind to ourselves. I know that's not always the easiest thing to do, but giving ourselves some grace here is the best thing that we can do, because we're not going to be perfect at this at first. As humans, we're not perfect, and that's kind of the whole point. Yeah, so to expect perfection from ourselves is really just asking for a backlash. Yeah. Yeah. As much as you can, do try to be kind to yourself. I know it's easy to get impatient and frustrated, but that also does us a disservice. Like, getting mad at ourselves literally does no good. And in fact, if anything, it's going to make things feel worse for us. So yeah. Give yourself grace. You've got this. You got this. And you will wake up one day and find that you are feeling completely different. And it's a natural feeling. You'll find that that desired state is now somewhere that feels like home. Yeah. Failure is part of the growth. Yes. Yes. Oh my God, 1,000 times. Yes. Thank you, Choir Army. When I felt my SP next to me, I felt so satisfied and calm and relaxed. Even when it was for a few seconds, does the Sabbath feel like that kind of way? Imaginal acts make a lot of fun. Thank you, Missy. Yes. Yes, that's what the Sabbath, if I could sum it up in a couple words, satisfaction, relaxation, calm. Mhm. There's a common misconception or I guess confusion around the Sabbath, thinking that we need to feel like euphoric or we need to walk around like we're on cloud nine. It's a lot more chill than that. So the Sabbath is pretty low key. You just feel good. Mhm. That's exactly it. So now you have a gauge. Now you have felt that. You felt what that is like. Now you have a gauge to go off of. That's awesome. To me, it's a relief. Yes. Yes. And relief is powerful. The feeling of relief leaves powerful impressions. Let me see. All right. If I missed anyone's super chat, let me know. But I think I got to them all. Y'all let me know. All right, going back up. Hey, Missy, I am loving sats. Yes. I look forward to spending time with my SP there every day. Can you explain the I remember when technique? Thank you so much. Yay. Yay. I love that. I love to hear that. And yes, sats is once getting the hang of it, you're going to be excited to do it. Like you're going to be like, I can't wait to go there. I can't wait to see my SP. I can't wait to hang out. I can't wait to have fun. It's enjoyable. So I love to hear that. I love that. Yeah, the I remember when technique, and I have made a video on that one. It was a while ago. It was one of my earlier videos. But basically, I remember when we are kind of like it's almost like ruminating from the state of the wish fulfilled. So, for example, like I remember when my person and I were not in contact, and I remember when I felt so angry and miserable, but now I feel amazing. Now I feel at peace, right? So it implies that things are no longer perhaps where they are now. And the cool thing about I remember when is you have the acknowledgement in there of some of the hardships that you went through. So it's almost like the ego gets a little bit of that satisfaction or acknowledgement of like the hard things, I guess. Like feeling down and out, feeling stressed. Like we acknowledge it, but we acknowledge it from the place of the wish fulfilled. It's like, God, I remember when I was so broke I couldn't afford to pay any bills. I thought for sure I was getting evicted. Oh, thank God. It implies that, thank God, I'm not there anymore, right? It implies that I'm no longer in that state. I no longer feel that way. That's the implication when we use I remember when. Yeah. I love that technique. It is an amazing one, especially if we have a lot of resistance to something. Because again, something about the acknowledgement of the bad things or the hardships gives the ego that much satisfaction to calm down. Oh, thank you, Divya. Let me see if you had a question. Sorry, guys, just checking really quick. I don't see one. Divya, I'm not quite sure if you had a question that you wanted to ask. If you could, though, it'd be so kind to retype that up when you have a moment, so I can make sure to get that answered. But either way, thank you so much for that super chat. I'll be keeping eyes for that question. Exactly, Mike. Thank you. It almost feels like self-compassion is harder now that I know I'm the creator, but training my compassion muscle with affirmations and yes, that's a thing. That is absolutely a thing. Like it's easy for us to get even harder on myself on ourselves because it's like, damn, I know that I'm the one who did that. I know that like fault or blame doesn't go on anybody else but me. So it's a really easy slippery slope for us to become even harder on ourselves. Yeah. Yeah. Compassion is more important than ever here. More important because even if we consciously know the law, we know it intellectually, that's different than how we act subconsciously, right? Like a lot of the things that we may be doing subconsciously is just that. Like we're not intentionally or consciously doing it. It's like an autopilot. So we really do need to give ourselves grace. Like even if we do know and understand the law, it's another thing entirely to help ourselves get to a place where it's subconscious now. Like we're acting and reacting from a place of the operant power and not from that old story. It does get easier. It does get easier. Thank you, Dawn. I feel moved to reach out to SP, but worry I shouldn't. How to feel the difference between forcing things, inspired action, or forcibly sitting on your hands because you're worried it's not inspired action? Good question. Oh man, I need to make a video about this. Um, so inspired action is unconscious action. You're not gonna have the conscious awareness at that time of its correlation to the bridge or that it is a bridge event. That you're going to see it in hindsight. You're going to look back and say, oh, I can see how that event was a bridge. Like that led me to a bridge. But beforehand or when you're in it, yeah. And that's if you're moved to take any action at all, it'll be unconscious action. That's number one. Forcing things is like conspiring to do things to get the manifestation. Like, oh, I know my SP goes to this gym every day at this time. So if I walk by at this time, if I walk by the gym looking my very best, like that's forcing the 3D. Like that's like trying to like conspire ways to move things along faster, so to speak. And sitting on your hands because you're worried it's not inspired action, it is just that. Because if you will be moved whether you like it or not. True inspired action will move you. So if something comes along and you are moved to make a decision, take an action, trust the process. Trust the process. Yeah. But mountains will move if they have to. The law will not fail you. Yeah. Yeah. I know overthinking this is incredibly common. I think most people, if not all of us, do it to a certain degree. Just know, as long as you are not actively trying to like conspire ways to get the manifestation to work or work faster, let whatever happens outside of that. Yeah, you are welcome. Where was my spot? Where's my spot? Hi, Missy. My dream is to live an abundant life without working. It's been hard. How should I ignore the 3D? Should I be trying to find a job and be realistic? Oh, good question. I know. And this is without question the challenge that most people grapple with. How do we deal with the 3D while manifesting, while we're going to the end in imagination? Like, what do we do with the 3D, like in the meantime? And really, we're kind of going throughout our day as we would. So, I mean, again, that's not saying that we have to try to like throw ourselves at anything or force ourselves to do a bunch of stuff that is going to produce a lot of stress and anxiety. But we're kind of going through the day-to-day notions. And it helps to know and understand the relationship between 3D and 4D, right? It helps to have faith and trust in the law, but also understand the relationship that the 3D is seemingly running on this series of events. It's linear, right? The 3D appears to be linear, running on linear time. So out here, things happen series of events style. In here, there is no time. So we can already have that experience. We can leave that impression and know that it has to reflect because that's literally the law, right? So whatever happens in that interim between planting that seed in the subconscious and when it does become out pictured, we live our life. We go through the notions. We would just go about our day. I know that's probably not the most helpful thing in the world, but we we don't want to try to like force ourselves to do a bunch of stuff in hopes to get the manifestation faster or anything like that. Um, if you're feeling very stressed and you're feeling moved to submit some applications, then if that will help alleviate some stress, then do that. I'm not saying you have to, but in the 3D, we're taking care of ourselves first and foremost. Yeah. We're helping ourselves to alleviate whatever we may be feeling, if that's anxiety, if that's stress. We are taking care of ourselves first and foremost. Yeah. Let me see. Sorry, guys. Just toe checking something really quick. Mm, what is the... Everybody can hear me okay, right? All right, I think we're good. Sorry about that. Any tips on doing sats without falling asleep? Absolutely. I know that this is one of the most common, if not most common, frustrations that people have about sats is falling asleep too soon. Number one, I would make sure not to wait until like you are dead exhausted. So that could mean getting ourselves to bed a little bit earlier before we're like teetering on the edge of falling to sleep quickly, or even practicing during the day can be helpful. Because by the end of the day, of course, for most people, we're going to be exhausted. So it's probably going to feel way too easy. Like as soon as our head hits the pillow, we're out, right? So either get yourself to bed or laying down a bit earlier before you've reached that level of exhaustion, or practice during the day. You can practice with sitting up instead of lying down, or putting yourself in a position that is different from your normal sleeping position. So basically, you want to get comfortable, but not too comfortable, right? So something slightly different than how you usually fall asleep. So if you sleep on your side, I would practice sats on your back or vice versa. And really, one of the exercises that I did that really did help with sats was I would set a timer. Like I would carve out some time in the afternoon. I would set a timer or an alarm to go off in case I did fall asleep. And I would practice just getting myself as relaxed as I could. And then before falling asleep, I would intentionally try to catch myself and wake myself back up. At first, it was a lot harder than it might sound, which is why the alarm was there. I would wake up if I fell asleep too soon. But just the practice of like getting myself as relaxed as I could, like getting as close to that threshold, that tipping point without going all the way over, and then deliberately bringing myself back up out of it was really helpful for me. So those are just my sats position became my sleeping position. Yeah, that could happen. Then switch it up again. Switch it up again. Yeah, I know. I know. It can be super annoying. Take advantage of the afternoon slump if you can. It will naturally take you into stats. Yes. Yes. Excellent points there. Bring back siestas. Bring back afternoon naps. I'm not exaggerating. That is the best time to do sats, hands down. Now I know, depending on the schedule and what all you may have going on, it may not be the easiest thing in the world to do, but I would start to prioritize that. Just giving yourself a window, even if it's a power nap, Even if it's a 20-minute power nap in the afternoon, make room for that, give yourself time for that. It will change your life. I was on the last waitlist for one-on-one, but I missed it. I signed up for the next one, but I didn't receive a reply email. Is it normal? I'm so sorry, Sandra. Um, Make sure if you are on the waitlist for one-on-one coaching, it might be helpful to first whitelist the email associated with that. So hello at Awaken Your Imagination, like whitelisting that email so that you can be sure that it goes to your inbox. But I would also make sure to check all the folders and all the things, check spam or anywhere else that it might have gone to. I'm so sorry about that. Thank you, Koi Army. My SP lives on the other side of the world. Neville explains in Prayer the Art of Believing, uh, when they accept our state, I'm just trying to make sure I understand. One moment. We would affect their action control when they accept our state. So does it mean they will also break up with third party? Yes. So in order for the bridge to unfold, at some point there would have to be a a breakup of sorts, or find themselves single again, I guess, naturally. Uh, Whatever would need to happen, like if you are going to the end, if you are together with your SP in imagination, then whatever would need to happen for that to become reflected in 3D would have to happen. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. So could we manifest world peace? Could manifest anything. I know that probably does not feel very believable, but focus first and foremost and always on the change within you. Change of self and building your faith comes first. Thank you, John. What part do you think inner traumas play in the lack of apparent ability to manifest? Could trauma be when some people feel burned out or nuts? Absolutely, that can play a role. Uh, well, the way that we feel about it's due to our conditioning, right? Um, play in the lack of apparent ability to manifest. So what plays a role in the lack of ability to manifest? Like when we have doubts, do you mean? When we doubt our ability to use the law or that the law can work for us? I mean, yeah, definitely self-concept. Definitely if perhaps we already had some self-esteem issues, if we did not feel very confident in ourselves in general, it can certainly spill over into our relationship with the law and our ability to manifest. It can feel it can feel harder for us to like accept that we can manifest. Hmm. So, I mean, short answer would be yeah. Any kind of traumas, any kind of experiences that left a sort of negative self-concept or lower self-esteem can play a role in our faith in ourselves, right? Trusting in our own ability. Yeah. If I'm understanding correctly. I'm like, ah. Your hoodie has kitten mittens on it. Yep. I'm representing the oh my god, I can't even the rescue that I volunteer for. I have their sweatshirt on because I got to go meet up with them this afternoon. With little kittens. So if you want to manifest good grades, you don't have to take action in the 3D. I remember you said we don't have to take 3D action. That's what confused me. Yeah, no, we don't have to take any action like deliberately and consciously. We will be naturally moved to take any kind of action if we need to take any. Um, the only place that we are like taking action is in imagination. The whole point of going to the end. So you're taking the action in here. More specifically, you're seeing yourself as already, in this case, you've already got the good grades, right? Perhaps you're looking at your transcript and you're seeing that you got all good marks this semester. So whatever would need to happen in the 3D to get you to that will happen without us needing to try and force it or try to do anything. I hope that makes sense. I know it completely goes against everything that we've been taught. I know. I know. It's so true what you're saying. Everything is coming from within. Yes. Everything. Everything. Everything is our self out pictured. Hey, Missy, I still don't understand why time is an illusion. I cannot wrap my head around it. Can you explain it? Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Serene. And good question. Good question. I know that this one's a mind bender. Like, because of our deep conditioning to time, right? We've grown up surrounded by reminders that time is always moving, right? Calendars, clocks, schedules, all of these things that show us time is marching on, right? When we say that time is an illusion, it means that time is a construct that's been made up. Like it's not an actual thing. It's a perception that we have, but it's really to help us get disentangled from this idea of it's to help us detach from the fears we have surrounding time more than anything. Oh, it's so easy to fall into the trap of how much time is it going to take? Oh, I need to have this by a certain time. It's been X amount of time. Um, we're very, very affected and influenced by time. And that's what we are aiming to like disengage with and disconnect from. Because in imagination, there is no time. In imagination, there is no future or past because they already exist right now. That scenario that you are perceiving as a future scenario exists right now in imagination. So you don't have to wait to imagine something. Basically, you can have that future experience right now. And we're doing this all the time anyways, unknowingly. Yeah. And I know it's a lot to wrap the head around. I know. I know. Thank you, Nango. Advice on how to feel chosen when SB chooses friends over me in 3D. I affirm I'm chosen, but when he doesn't choose me, I'm triggered and want to walk away. Uh, Advice on how to feel chosen. So, I that concept, feeling chosen, I think that one needs to just be a focus in general. I think that if you're experiencing these kinds of triggers and reactions in the 3D, then the focus needs to be on you feeling like the priority. You're feeling chosen, not just when it happens, right? Like not just when it happens in the 3D, but I think that should be sort of like a predominant focus of what you are imagining, right? So imagining scenes, imagining uh, scenarios where you are the priority, right? So imagining things that imply that you were chosen. Perhaps that's going on a date together and he picked you over his friends or whatever. It can be anything, but it's about what is being implied. And what we want to build is faith that we are prioritized. We want to lean more into the feeling of being chosen and what that would be like. If the affirmations are not helping you to connect to that feeling, you can try first going into sats. You can try the affirmations while in a more deeper meditative state. Visualization or inner conversations is another great way when in a relaxed state. Another another thing that we tend to do that can really trip us up is we try to force these techniques when we are feeling very anxious. Like we wait until something triggers us to then try to like affirm like crazy. When that happens, we're likely to notice a lot of resistance and a lot of pushback, or we're definitely it's definitely going to feel harder to connect to that feeling of the wish fulfilled when we are triggered or when we are anxious. So I would say at night or when you have times of downtime and relaxation, use those moments to really, really feel yourself into the state of being a priority, the state of being chosen. Use the moments when you are naturally more relaxed to imagine and go there. I hope I'm making sense. But basically, I wouldn't just wait until a trigger has happened to try to force a feel good scene or affirmation. Yeah, there's there's more effective ways to go about it. Yeah. Thank you, Aurora. Once I have my desire in the 3D, how do I keep it? I feel like I manifest things pretty well, but they don't stick around. Is it just self concept? Yes. Yes. And this is why. So the entire point of why I teach what I teach and why I emphasize what I emphasize is because I am much more adamant of the change in self that needs to take place so that we can not only get our manifestation but maintain it. Because it's one thing to, you know, temporarily move yourself or see a readjustment of the 3D surfaces, but we're always moving back to whatever state feels dominant for us. So if we have not fully changed within, then there's any changes in the 3D that we might see are just going to be temporary, which is why it is so important to focus on the change of self. That is what comes with lasting change. Period. Period, period, end of story, period. You're not late, Zero. You're good. I manifested a million things and I still doubt the law sometimes, and I have to learn it again. I don't know why. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It may take uh, we're naturally inclined to chalk things up to coincidence. Um, it may not always be that you're gonna accept right away that the law is real, even with proof. And if it feels very difficult to trust that the law will bring about a 3D change, then I would recommend changing the perspective of how we're looking at this. Um, Instead of trying to get that 3D change, just allow yourself to imagine because it feels good to imagine. It feels good to have that experience. It feels a lot better than the alternative, which is to have a really crappy negative self tape, right? So there really is no downside to allowing yourself to imagine something lovely. There is no way that that can blow up in your face because at worst you feel better. At worst you'll feel better. And so it is still worth it to go to the end. It is still worth it to imagine things that are lovely. I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps a little bit. Hi, Missy. How did you feel while living in the end while manifesting your person? I'm ready to surrender, but I keep double guessing myself because I just feel relaxed, not super excited or anything. Good question. I, yeah, no. How did I feel while living in the end? I felt calm. I felt relaxed. Yeah, it just felt normal. It felt so like for things that you are so certain about, you are so like this is a fact for me that you don't even really think about it anymore. Like not really. It was like that. Like, it just became a complete certainty in my mind. I wasn't overexcited. I wasn't jumping up and down with joy or anything like that. It just felt calm. I just felt it was more the absence of fear, the absence of double-mindedness, the absence of that negative self-talk. Like that was really what how I was able to see that I was in fact in the Sabbath. But it didn't really feel like I was floating or on cloud nine or anything like that. No. Hi, Missy. How does I am know that you have not already received what you manifest? How does I am know if you're just imagining it or if you've got it in 3D? Hope you understand what I mean. Um, so how does God know? God knows everything. It's God. I am the awareness that is God. And forgive me if I'm misunderstanding. But it sounds like there might be a little bit of fear of like whether or not God knows your desire, what you're imagining, or whether or not you have it in 3D. God knows everything. God is everything. God is all things, everywhere, all at once. Yeah. Are you talking about the distinction between daydreaming and in an imaginal act? Are you me? Yes. Thank you, Saucy. Hello, Missy. I wanted to tell you that my mom's name is Misty Renee, which is what caught my eye when I first discovered you. Funny coincidence? Oh, I love that. Yeah, coincidence. That's it. Misty Renee. How cool. Everybody calls me Misty. Like when they first hear me, when they first meet me and they're like, what was your name? Misty? So I get that a lot. How cool. All good, Gabrielle. All good. Yeah, it's far too easy for us to kind of get up in our own way. Like trusting can be a challenge. Hmm. Be brave. Be brave. That's it. Thank you for the super chat. I let me see. I don't know if you had a question. Let's see if there was a question here. I'll be on the lookout if you have a question. Be sure to leave that. I don't see anything in the earlier threads, but I'll be on the lookout. But either way, thank you for that super chat. Before you, I've never heard anyone named Missy before. Yeah, I'm not. It's not super common. Not super common. I've only met a couple other Missies. How can you neutralize negative thoughts after believing them for so long? Uh, how can you neutralize negative thoughts after believing in them for some time so that they don't manifest? Good question. Well, so when it comes to our negative thoughts, and I have made a video going into more detail about this, but the whole point of going to the end in imagination, the whole point of having that experience in imagination as if you were experiencing it in the 3D, um, is because as we do that, as we continue to experience and identify with that desired state, those negative thoughts are naturally going to neutralize. They're naturally going to subside. You're not going to continue to have those negative thoughts from a new and more desirable state of consciousness. So going to the end isn't just getting the 3D to change, but you're going to notice a change in your thought patterns. You're going to notice a change in your reactions. You're going to notice a change inside and outside of you. So it really, the importance of practicing going there, practicing creating that place, preparing that place in imagination is so that we're no longer battling our own mind every single day. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat. I had a procedure that changed my looks. I deeply regret it. Is it possible for me to manifest my previous pre-surgery looks? Oh, I'm so sorry. Is it possible to? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. If you can imagine it, you can experience the outpicturing of it, like the 3D experience of it. Absolutely. Yeah. I know at times it can feel like the circumstances are too big, like that they're insurmountable or that impossible to change. It's never impossible to change the 3D circumstance. It's never, ever, ever impossible to do so. If you can imagine it, you can have that experience. Yeah. And I do have time for maybe one or two more questions. Time flies. Hey, Missy, I know imagination is just as real as the 3D, but sometimes when I imagine, it doesn't feel as good as the 3D. How can I fix this? Excellent question. Excellent question. I actually do have a video coming out about this because very, very common question. A very natural experience that we have is we imagine something, but it doesn't feel as good as the real thing, right? It doesn't feel as good as the real thing. And that's, you want to look at the imagination. Think of your imagination like a muscle. And pretty much our whole adult life, this muscle has been very uh, weakened, for lack of better words, where we're not exercising it anywhere near to the degree that we are capable of exercising it, and making it very strong. Most of us as adults kind of just go on autopilot and imagine the same old terrible things over and over. And for the terrible things, those can feel incredibly real. Um, so we're exercising, right? We're practicing with just playing in imagination, starting with whatever imaginal senses are strongest for you. So if that is sight, if that is sound, if that is the sense of touch, start with that. Start with what is already most natural to you. Um, and continue to just build on it, because as you build on it and as you exercise this muscle, the imaginal experiences are going to start to feel more and more real. I tell this story often, but I'm going to repeat it again. When I first started doing sats, I was terrible at it. I didn't have a vivid imagination. It was like, it was black. It was dark. I couldn't really experience or see anything. Um, but today, when I go within, I can go to somewhere that feels just as real as this room that I am in right now, like with all the senses activated, as if I am having a 3D experience. So it really is about the exercise of imagination, because absolutely you will get to the place, you can and you will get to a place where what you imagine begins to feel just as solid as what you are experiencing in the 3D. Yeah. Frank. Oh, thank you for the super chat. I can't find your message. Oh, really quick. Thank you, Yasma. I see your super chat from earlier. I see your question from the super chat earlier. Um, I try to manifest my SP back. He broke up with me because he said his music career is more important. How can I work on the assumption that others can also manifest him? It stresses me out. Oh, I know. I know that this one can feel scary. When it feels like there's competition, um, there is no such thing as competition. Like objectively speaking, there is no such thing as competition. There can be the experience of it if we believe that to be true, but that's something that happens because we give our power away. In your reality, the experience that you're having through your eyes right now is yours. It is yours. You are the operant power of it. I know that can feel incredibly difficult to trust and believe at first, which is why, aside from what we are desiring and trying to manifest, it's also about building our faith in ourselves as the operant power, so that we're not at the mercy of the 3D. We're not at the mercy of other people. We're not at the mercy of circumstance, because they can feel absolutely terrifying when it feels like everything is, we're at the mercy of everything around us instead of the other way around. So I would be sure that you are building your faith by testing the law, using self-observation to see the relationship, the natural relationship between what is going on internally and what you're experiencing externally. And second, just know that no one else has veto power or the ability to supersede you in your reality. That is not a thing that exists. That's not a thing. But we can always choose to give our power away, but we don't have to continue to choose to do so. Just focus as much and as often as you can on just going to that place, going to that end until it feels like the most natural and obvious thing in the world for you. Yeah. All right. Frank, I'm just trying to see if you had a question, sir. Oh, here we go. Interesting thing happened the last night of tour 2 weeks ago. Unexpectedly met someone I clicked with strongly. Got her number, messaged her, and still haven't heard anything back. I know um, no to do in imagination, though my mind has been all over the board with positive and negative potential outcomes. Any advice moving forward? I know this is someone I want to get to know better and can see this turning into something great. Oh, oh, yay. I know what to do in imagination, though my mind has been all over the place. Um, so you know what to do. It's just about the implementing it. It's the implementation. Is am I understanding that correctly? Any advice moving forward? Um, well, from the sounds of it, you're already going to that place in imagination, right? Like you're already seeing that going on a date or communication. I take it is that something that you are already doing? Because if it's not, make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you are seeing in the mind's eye and experiencing what you would want to be having happened. If that's correlation of a time to meet, if you guys are planning a time to meet for a date, whatever that is, make sure that you are doing so. Yeah. um what was the other part of that? Sorry. If you are not meditating on a regular basis, I do recommend that also. Make sure that there is a daily meditation practice. That's going to help us with the mind wandering. That's going to help us with the monkey mind, big time. Yeah, especially something like a focused attention meditation. Yeah. Yeah. And lastly, trust the process. Trust that what you are imagining has already been selected. Like you're selecting that reality. You know that it's not fantasy. Like when you imagine and you have that experience, you're selecting that state. Plain and simple, right? Trust that process. Sarah, thank you so much. Thank you for the live. Hope you and the meows are well. Huey, Dewey, and Megatron. Enjoy the rest of the holiday weekend. You too, girl. Thank you so much. Everybody is doing fantastic over on this end. I hope you guys are all doing great. Thank you for joining me today. This has been awesome as always. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your holiday weekend. Take care of yourselves. My apologies as always if I did not get to your question, but I'm here every Sunday. So I hope to see you guys here next time. Take care. Be well as always. Much love. Mwah. Bye, guys.